Welcome to Swimming with Sepsey, where we break down various life topics, bring on inspirational guests to talk about their lives, their experiences, and encourage you to swim through your own inner thoughts, emotions, and feelings to inspire a change within you that will hopefully lead to an outer change in your own personal reality. I ask that throughout this episode and all future episodes that you come with an open mind, an open heart, and a willingness to look at yourself in a different way and to look at the world in a different way. I'm grateful for each and every one of you that's tuned in this current moment, and I look forward to sharing many more moments with you. And with that, let's dive on in. Hey! Welcome to Swimming with Sepsey. Oh God, I still have reverb on. Sorry guys, take this off. Got excited. There we go. All right, we're back. We're gonna leave that because that's kind of funny. Welcome to Swimming with Sepsey with your host, Joshua Sepsey. And your co-host, Nicki Chesky.
Thank you.
Woo. Clap for yourself.
Good to be here, bro.
There you go.
Thank you.
And we have a special guest today, Seraphim.
Woohoo!
Let me introduce. Okay, well, here's the thing. Seraphim is like a energetic ball of absolute joy. And like, she's
For real.
super fucking smart. She's on Higher Self Friendly Chats a lot. She also does a lot of other things, so we're going to dive into that here. First, we're going to go through a couple announcements. Shirts are fixed, so you can order shirts online. When you order a shirt, it enters you in to win a free reading. Now, I will tell you this, little tidbit, little heads up from the back end here. There's only been a couple shirts ordered, so your chances are pretty high, and I'm giving away 3 free readings every month. So order a shirt, support. It all goes to allowing us to continue doing this. And so we can make sure that we don't run into audio issues, which we have in the past. So appreciate it. Other announcements. Do I have anything else? I think that might have been the only one.
I don't think so.
Oh, still doing if you shoot me a screenshot that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you also get $25 off a reading. So we're also doing that. So I'm running multiple things. Gotta allow them to get multiple things because why not?
Sounds like a party.
Yeah, I want them to have all the things.
Give me things.
Yeah,
I like things.
just take it. Just go. I want to make this available. I'm really here to help you. If you guys listen to the episode 19, this will probably drop a little later. You actually get a really good description on why I do this. So yeah, tune into that one. Check it out. Nope, they're saying that's all we need. So we're gonna get started here with our good friend Seraphim.
Hello. Hi.
Hey.
Howdy.
Hey. So we already were kind of chit-chatting for quite a bit beforehand.
Yeah.
But really, what I want to start with here, and we kind of discussed a little bit, is I want to understand a little bit about your journey into the line of work that you're doing now.
Okay.
Because I feel like from what I'm getting, it was like, and I could be completely wrong on this, it was like a stumble and was it kind of like just kind of fell into your lap kind of deal, like as you were going along your journey, or like explain to me that?
Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
So
that was a lot.
So my story is relatively complicated, so I'm gonna try and like compartmentalize
These
it.
are the best people.
And put bits and pieces in there.
Sure.
But so probably it all started around, I want to say like 7 or 8 years ago.
Nice.
Was when there was like a catalytic moment. I was not doing well. I was dealing with a lot of anxiety, panic attacks, depression, which I had already dealt with off and on throughout the majority of my life, untreated. All of this stuff was always untreated. Mostly always just dealt with things on my own. And my neighbor and good friend at the time, who was living right next door to me, could kind of tell that I was not doing well and suggested that I go take meditation classes.
Interesting.
And what was very interesting, I was living in downtown Phoenix, and quite literally, like on the corner of the street that I lived, so like a 3-minute walk from my front door, a
Dang.
yoga studio had opened up like a month prior.
Oh, wow.
And it was a man and a woman. They were married. She did the yoga. He did free meditation twice a week.
Nice.
In the middle of the day. And I just happened to be working remotely that summer. So it was like when I say like all these little pieces just kind of like popped, like just worked out. And at the time, like I was very much like not spiritual. I had grown up in a very religious household. My grandparents were pastors. I grew up in the church. And I left the church. I left religion. I did not like the experience.
100%. Please.
That's again another part of the story.
Oh, yeah.
But so I was not into dabbling with any of that. But someone said, I think this would help. And so I went. And they were like 30, 45-minute classes. The man's name was David. And what was really cool, and this is like the very beginning, which will, this will come full circle.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
When we get towards the end. But
I love that.
yeah. But so this man, David, he was the one that was doing these 30-minute classes. He was not spiritual whatsoever. He was teaching and practicing meditation based on the science. Specifically for how does it help your mind? How does it help your body? Here is the science behind it. Here are the different practices, the different ways that you can approach it, different mentality, like, you know, how do you want to picture it or breathe it or whatever. Like he just had all these, he knew everything. And so I started showing up, and then I started showing up early and asking questions, and then staying after the classes and asking questions and being like, hey, I tried this, but this was what I struggled with. What do I do? And he kind of within the first like 2 or 3 weeks kind of realized that I was not there as like a leisurely pop-in. And I remember he kind of looked at me and was like, okay, so you're not just like doing meditation. He's like, you're like a student. And I was like, someone said this could fix me, so please help. Like, that was where I was like, someone said this could fix me. I'm not doing well. Please fix me. Like, please help.
Yeah.
And this wonderful man just sort of took me under his wing. He was sending me homework. He was sending me every article. He was like, go to all these different universities, read their studies, tell me what confuses you. He would give me all these different types of practices to try out. So it was like visualizations and things like that. And if I was like, this didn't work for me, he would come back and be like, if this didn't work for you, try this the next time. So it was very much this practice that allowed me to understand that like there was no like judgment or shame, that there was no doing it right. It was just figuring out what worked for me. And at the same time, I was reading a book by Eckhart Tolle.
Power of Now?
Yeah, Power of Now, maybe.
I think it was a different one. And I always forget the name because everyone always
That
says
says Power of Now, yeah.
But what was really cool, and I'll remember this later when I go home and I find the book. But what was really cool is that while I was doing these practices, this book was so small. I could have read it in a day. I'm a very fast reader. And what I had decided to do was to read it very slowly and read maybe one chapter a week or reread each chapter multiple times a week.
Smart.
And the way that what I was having like revelations about myself in meditation was exactly what was coming up in the book. So it's like this book was like going on this journey with me.
That's cool.
I love that.
It was a wild month. Like it was like 3 or 4 months of this that was just happening. And within the first month, my friends started noticing a difference. I didn't notice anything personally, but they started noticing something was changing. By the second month, I started noticing that I was taking pauses, or that I wasn't reacting the same way that I would to a situation that I normally would.
Yeah.
And it was just like this very interesting evolving journey of meditation. And that went on for like this gentleman took me under his wing for like a series of like 4 or 5 months. We were getting to the point of doing like walking meditation, eating meditation, lots of different types of meditation. Like I went deep. I went hard.
Oh, yeah.
I went deep. Like it was intense.
Well, I love that because like so many people don't know that there's that many types of meditations.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And it was really cool. It was like, I, of course, was just like, I'm not doing it great, right? Like, it's so hard. And he's like, you've gotten further in 4 months than most people I know have gotten in 4 years. Because it was just,
100%.
I was so into the practice and I was so desperate for something to help me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, I mean, I'm practicing at home. I'm practicing on my walks. I'm practicing on my bike rides. I'm practicing on the light rail. I'd be at a bar and I'd just be like zenned out surrounded by my friends. And my friends would be like, "Are you okay?" And I'd just
feel like
be
I'm
like,
meditating.
I'd literally be like doing this really interesting, like wide-eyed meditation of what was going on around me while breathing and feeling my sensations, but looking like a creep. You know, don't do it at bars, guys. I mean, I was new. But that ended up leading to, so they ended up closing down the yoga shop because the wife got pregnant and they wanted to like switch their lives. They ended up like moving to like New York. But I was so grateful for what that had taught me, like so much in such a short period of time. And I continued my practice. And I ended up, my landlord had a friend that was a psychic who I ended up meeting, and she immediately took to me, and then she became my next mentor for a period of months. And then I found this meditation house that was right around the corner from where I lived, and I ran into an old friend there who had never told me about this meditation house. And so I was like, what the hell, friend?
Hey, come on now.
That was my friend Dante. I just remember like walking in and being like,
Yo.
dude, like, why didn't you tell me about this? Like, he'd been doing it for years. Like, he helped start it and had never told me. So I started doing that, like, every Sunday. We would, and that was where I started practicing with, like, another group of people. And it was outdoor meditation with, like, very Eastern, with, like, tea. They were a little bit more spiritual. But they were very much into this, like, very structured, strict practice. And, like, sitting outside doing practice on a patio in a very noisy area of town. So I was very much learning about the distraction in meditation and how to work through that, which was really cool.
Recentering all the time. Yeah.
And so I just kept seeking, and I ended up going to this Reiki house with this, I believe her name was Nicole Duran. She runs like a Reiki house.
Familiar.
Yeah, she's around.
Okay.
And she had a Reiki house, but she would do free full moon and new moon meditation.
Nice.
And I did not know shit about Reiki. So I was like dropping into these circles and like doing these things, but that was actually when I experienced like an awakening. It was, I've been going for a while, just like practicing. It was really beautiful having like a group of people. It was a great vibe. But then I think it was like a few months into going to these things consistently, there was one specific breathing meditation that she was leading us through, and I had a full-blown, like...
Ooh. What'd that feel like?
If... trying to describe what occurred...
Oh, yeah. It's difficult, but try.
So she had us up in, I guess it's like cactus arms.
Yeah.
Breathing... And mind you, I had a really good meditation practice. So even though whatever I'm about to describe occurred, I was still able to hear her, listen to her, and continue breathing through it while this whole experience is happening.
Ooh, that's cool.
Which was really, really awesome. So basically, like, I'm breathing, and then I started getting this like really intense pressure in my head, from the back of my head to the top of my head, and then it was like something popped.
Ooh.
And I visually, with my eyes closed, so think like a black backdrop, it was as if the outline of my head was directly in front of me and it was glowing.
Whoa.
And there was a glowing line around like the middle of my temple going all around the top of my head, and there was like light bursting.
Whoa.
But I'm seeing
like
this,
seeing it
but I
happen.
was seeing
You're
it
on
in
the
front
outside.
of me.
Yeah.
Which was wild, because
That's
that was not something that I'd really experienced before. I was, just to give people like an idea, I was never a big drinker. I did not do drugs. I didn't smoke weed.
Yeah.
I wasn't straight edge. I just don't like feeling things.
Yeah.
I like being in control of my own body.
Yeah, 100%.
And so it's like I never like dabbled with psychedelics or anything like that. So I'm not used to seeing visuals. So this was a very new experience. So I'm having this perfectly sober in a breathing exercise.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Breath work is
sure.
powerful.
And so along with
Combined
that, I
with
started
everything
having
you're
like
doing.
body sensations. I felt like this, I was having a lot of pain in my abdomen at the time. This massive ball of heat was moving from my head through my chest directly into this area in my abdomen, to the point that like I physically buckled over. And I remember like Nicole noticed it, but like left me be. But like, because I was still breathing.
Yeah, I'm still going.
Still breathing, but I like
Interesting.
buckled over because of this intense heat and pain that I experienced.
Oof.
What was really cool, which I'll tell, like afterwards, the issues that I was having left for like a period of like 6 or 9 months.
That's crazy.
All this like pain in my abdomen, like gone.
Just got a shot of light through.
Yeah,
it.
just like something really massive happened.
Yeah.
And I was riding the light rail home that night as well. And so like I was nauseous, I was tired, I did
bet.
not know what was real. Like we come out of this like meditation, and I was like, guys, I think I experienced something. And people are like, yeah, that happens. Like just like, oh yeah, no one, because I didn't know how to express what I like experienced.
I mean, because like it could have been like they're like, oh yeah, you're just like a little lightheaded, euphoric feeling, right? It's like, no, I had full on visuals.
Yeah.
Like I had like a full like experience occur, but like no one knows, and I didn't know how to experience. Like I didn't know how to like express it, and I also didn't want to like
try and like
intrude on anyone else's. Like these are like 20-person groups. Like I didn't want to like intrude on that. So I don't know.
So you just went home.
I went home. Like I went home.
That's crazy.
And you know, it was just like something happened, and
100%.
there was just this period of like a year and a half where it was like whatever I needed, the universe was sending me. The people that I needed, the universe was sending me. Like I don't even remember how I discovered Nicole Duran's group, but it somehow like popped up on like a Facebook page or something, and I was like, oh, I'll go to that. I didn't know anyone there. Like I just showed up and kept going, and it was this series of events that ended up leading me to this little store called Elements of Spirit, run by this woman named Gypsy, who has been my mentor for the last 7 or 8 years. I call her my spiritual mother because of the connection that I have with her. But how did I find that? Her store opened around the corner from the place that I was living, walking distance. And
Always with you,
a
and
neighbor,
everything being right
surrounding
around the corner.
it. That's amazing.
This is what I mean. Like something was occurring. I opened that door to be like, someone suggested meditation. I went for it. I just started saying yes to a lot of things because I wanted to feel better. And I was getting into like meditation, all this stuff. My neighbor that lived one street over, his name was Spike. He was just like, oh, there's this store that opened up that sells sage. You should go check it out. And I was like, okay,
yeah.
So I went in, and a couple people left. She says hello. It's just Gypsy and I in her store. And we were like sizing each other up because I was like, who the fuck is this? We're just like, who's this person? Because it's like, oh, this woman with her spirit store. Like, okay.
You just opened up.
And mind you, again, like I was not a part of any like real communities. I was not going to events. I wasn't part of any of this stuff. And a lot of the people who were in the spiritual community that I was meeting, I did not like. I saw a lot of hypocrisy, a lot of like spiritual bypassing. But I didn't even know what the word spiritual. I didn't even have these terms.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't like spiritual ego or spiritual bypassing. I didn't even have those words.
Oh yeah. See, it was just all pure feeling.
But I could just, I
Pure
could
feeling.
sense something,
Yeah.
and I could see things, and I could see like I come from a background of like being really, really into psychology. I didn't study it, but like I'm a nerd about psychology. My best friend is a psychologist. I read Psychology Today for fun. Like I love this stuff, so I could like see what I was seeing and being like, that doesn't look healthy, that doesn't look right. And like, even if you're spiritual, and I come from a religious background, I'm jumping around a little bit.
It's okay.
Religious background with like evangelical Christians who are like casting out demons and like speaking in tongues. So it's like, I come from some weird shit. So there's like some foundational understanding of like spirit, energy, things like that. And then getting rid of that and going into the spiritual communities and seeing a lot of bullshit. And there was so much resistance. And some of it was right. Some of what I was seeing and I was feeling, I did not like. So when I walk into this spiritual store called Elements of Spirit, the first thing I'm going to do is kind of test
The
this
owner. You're like,
woman.
yeah.
And we did, and it's we laugh about it now, but like I was asking questions, and then she's asking me questions, and I was like, well, my opinion's this. What do you think? And then she'd give me her thing, and I'm like, okay, I hear that, but what about this? And like we were just like ping ponging back and forth, and this turned into a 3-hour conversation. Not a single person walked into the store during this time, and it ended with me crying. Because she was asking deeper and deeper questions, and I was answering them in a way that I thought was very logical. And at one point she sort of stopped and she was like, how did you know the answer to that question? And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, that's how a shaman would have answered that question. Are you sure that you're new? And I broke down into tears, and I was like, I don't know. There's just stuff in my head. I just know the answers to things. I think I'm going crazy. And I just broke. And I was just sobbing in the middle of her store. And she was like, oh, you're getting downloads. And I'm like, what's a download? Like, I was so scared. So it's like, I was just in it. And I was so alone and so isolated in it. And there weren't people really for me to talk about. And I found this woman, and same thing. I found this woman. I showed up because someone told me to. I found her. She recognized me. And she took me under her wing, and she's been my mentor ever since. And that led to a lot of deep shadow work, a lot of really facing off with myself, a lot of getting rid of people in my life, a lot of setting boundaries, and working the medicine wheel. And it's been years of this, and I've just gone deeper and deeper, and the shit's not a joke. Like, it will completely turn your life upside down, but it's completely worth it. So that was my whole thing, was everything that I dealt with, I got through, and it was always better on the other side. So I just kept going, and I kept seeking more, and I kept asking more questions, and I kept meeting whoever the universe was putting in front of me. I skimmed over the psychic that I studied under for a short period of time, but what's really cool is that she brought up something that Gypsy, my Native American mentor, brought up, which was that I needed to start trusting my intuition and my gut. And so that became like the first 3 years was about breathing, meditating, and learning to trust my intuition. And
100%.
Just getting there. I was so disconnected from myself. And that was, but I was also there was like natural intuition that was there, but I was so disconnected. I didn't trust anything about myself.
Tons of doubt. Yeah.
And so started taking the classes, the courses, lost a lot of friends in the process, kept doing it anyways. Lots of changes happened in my life. And then I stumbled upon Higher Self-Friendly, this group at Lacuna, and found a group of people that were talking about things that were all in my head, that I never had people to talk to. I was so isolated. I stumbled across like 25 people talking about esoteric spiritual stuff and not like in a let me teach you this is a workshop, but like we're all passionate discuss. And we all come from different experiences and let's discuss and compare notes.
Yeah.
And I've been a part of that group now for 3 years. And now I'm like a moderator and a panelist for them. But it literally started with me just being like, I love you guys. Can I stay forever? First time I showed up, I walked up to the person that runs it, Angel, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but can I be a part of it? Like, that was the very first time. And so I just kept showing up to that. And along the way, there was, a lot of spiritual growth was happening, a lot of insight. I was having visions, downloads. I'm working with this Native American medicine woman who is taking me deep and no bullshit.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah,
100%.
she has no space for bullshit. No. So it was like...
It's just right to the point.
It's
like, we're
right
going
to
to do
the
this.
point.
If you're going to do this, we're going to do this. Yeah.
And what was really cool with her, too, is that she very much acknowledged and... respected the fact that I like science and I was learning to integrate the two, and that I was very cautious about all the things that I was doing. So it's like when people were like, oh, like let's do like past life stuff, I was like, no, I knew exactly that I did not want. I was like, I'm not ready for it.
That's why I warn people about Kundalini yoga.
Yeah, there's certain things, and the thing is, like, I was learning to trust my body and trust my intuition. So that if I got a full body no to something, it was learning to be like, maybe in the future, but right now that's not on my path. Right now that's not for me. I don't think that would actually help me where I am today.
Yeah.
And so I had this mentor who was very patient with me, understood my caution, and made me work for it, made me work for everything. So once I would get, some sort of reflection or understanding, she would just start laughing. And I'd be like, you knew this whole time. And she's like, it wasn't my job to tell you. I just had to be here for you.
I love this woman.
Oh,
I want to meet this woman.
Dude, So Gypsy, I'm going to give Elements of Spirit in downtown Phoenix a mad shout out right now. Because Gypsy is phenomenal. But like, you will meet her and she's either for you or she's not. That's it. She is either for your path or she's is not, and you will know.
Yeah.
But if she is for you, like, that is my spirit mama. I love her, and she came at it and worked with me in the exact way that I would receive. And it was no bullshit, but also a lot of patience. And there was just so much that I learned from the classes and the courses, the one-on-ones, even just sitting and talking and listening to her while she's working in the store, watching her interact with people. I just absorbed everything. I was just like this big old sponge.
Yeah.
And so that's also where I don't really assign a name to any of the work that I do now. I've been around and been in classes with people who refer to themselves as witches. I'm not a witch. I can pull tarot cards, but I am not a tarot reader. I work with energy, and that's it. I work with energy. And this is sort of what started occurring, was over a period of years in this work under this mentor, I started understanding some of the natural insight and intuition that I've had since a child, which I was told was the devil's work.
100%, yeah.
So I was told to not
So
trust.
you're shifting beliefs.
Entire perspective shifts, like learning that, not to go too deep into it, but it's like I saw things as a child.
Yeah, me too.
And if I tried to express that to my family, it was always like,
we need a
demons,
seance.
Exorcism, like we got to like pray over it, not realizing that their child had the capacity to see energetic beings, to potentially see the dead, or to potentially see demonic dark energy. Like, I had this capacity, and I didn't know what I was experiencing as a child, and so it was put under this cloak of, if you see it, don't talk about it. And if you see it, it's the devil's coming for you.
Yeah.
And if you see it, it's because you did something wrong. So it was a lot of this like heaviness. And then now as like an adult, under this guidance from some very powerful individuals, learning that it was just a natural thing that I had.
Yeah.
And to kind of hone back into it. Like in high school and like in my 20s, so like I have to watch myself when I go into thrift stores and like bookstore, like antique bookstores. I love antiques. I love thrifting.
They carry a lot of energy though.
I would walk into stores and immediately get drawn to something and buy it. I'd be in and out of a thrift store in 10 minutes flat. I'd be like, and even as a child, I was like, it's almost like it wanted me to take it home. I would say that, not knowing. As an adult, now I'm understanding.
You know. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, what was I bringing home with me? No wonder I was having nightmares. Like, I was just walking in places and just bringing shit that's covered with energy home with me. So it's like, I'm getting all this understanding now about like what happened in my childhood and what I was experiencing. And there apparently was this natural insight and intuition that I just didn't understand and didn't know how to hone and didn't have words for. And for the last 8 years, I've been honing in on that more and having more of these like different types of experiences, learning how to hone in on them, learning what their purpose is, learning what is for me and not for me. Like if I go to, so it's like I go to, you know, Jerome or Bisbee or something like that, and I have some very strange experiences that I'm not asking for and I don't see the purpose in. And all that tells me is that I need to protect myself more when I go to some of these much stronger spiritual places. Because like I don't think I want to be the person that
brings
communes between the dead and the living. I don't really think that's something that I want.
100%. I remember
I don't know if it's something, I'm not trying to like reject it or fight it. It's just I don't know what to do with that yet. So I'm very cautious with it.
Yeah, my grandma... when I first started, I'm about to tell a story about how I've communicated with the dead. So like I get it. My grandma, when I first started doing Akashic record readings and like was dealing with the Akash, you're able to like sense like those energies as well. And I remember my grandma goes, she was really worried. She's like, I don't want you talking to the dead. I want you bringing that in. She's very, very Christian lady. And I was like, I had to sit with that for a moment, and I played it off like, oh, no, it's not like that, not like that. Then I get a reading. I get a call from this lady who wanted a reading. She booked, and I went to her house. It was in downtown Phoenix. And I remember going there, and it was like an old house. And, like, I get there, and I immediately felt like this, don't know if this is going to be your typical Akashic record reading that you've done. Like normally it's like, okay, here's where you're at. There's guidance that you need, blah, blah, blah. As soon as I walked in, I'm looking around the house like, ooh, just felt like this is ominous. There's a lot that's happened here. I don't know what's about to happen. But I trusted. I was like, I know I'm going to be okay, but I don't know what's about to happen. And I was really interested. I was just really curious. So I continue, and she brings me like this back room that she had. I got pictures everywhere. And turns out communicating with both of her sons, and I believe it was her, I don't want to get too deep, but her husband at the time too. And this energy was just coming in. I'm feeling it physically of like what had happened, and then like this deep emotional energy of like suicide and like trying to bring that out. So like at that point, I was mid crying in this reading, trying to give this energy, like help her understand. And I made it at that point, and it was this beautiful gift of seeing them and feeling them, and then them understanding what had happened and like thanking me. And I'm crying, like talking to this lady, like explaining what's going on, and I'm just like feeling all this. And I like immediately went home, took a bath, took a shower, just got everything off. And I was like, I literally sat in meditation and spoke with everything. I was like, okay, look, don't let me do that again.
Yep.
I don't want to do that again. I know that that's something that I could do, but I don't know how I feel about that quite yet. Because like, and since then, I haven't had that. And it's very scary.
Well,
and it's
like scary or humbling. I've
Humbling.
referred back to humbling with it. It's like
it's unknowing though, because I don't know, because like you could go anywhere.
Yeah.
You could go anywhere and you could visit a place and it's like you're the only one that I can talk to, and they know that. Those energies know that.
Yeah.
And so then, like, if you're on a vacation or you're just trying to kick back.
Right.
Like,
I'm just shopping at a store talking about jewelry with, like, a business owner, and for some reason I can't stop looking at that hat.
Yeah.
And then I find out that it's the business owner's business partner's hat who passed away, and she carries the hat with her to every store that she goes to.
Oh my
and then I
gosh.
literally say something that I didn't mean to say because I wasn't the one talking.
Oh.
And you can see the look on the woman's face, and she's like, oh, don't do that. And I'm like, I freeze. I look at my friend. I'm like, we have to go.
Yeah.
We have to
Yeah.
go. And like literally running out of the store, being like, I didn't, what?
Yeah.
Or like, if, like I do energy work. I've had some sessions. So I understand, like.
You do Reiki now?
So it's not
I guess
Reiki.
energy work.
Yeah, it's not Reiki. The energy work that I've learned has been through the Native American practice.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there are similarities, but also differences. We
Okay.
source a little bit differently, from my understanding.
Oh.
We source a little bit
Okay.
differently, and I don't need to use
from elements more per se,
It's
or
it's more like energetic intuition,
okay.
and also just like understanding how things work
Oh,
energetically.
I
Universally.
would say that's kind of how I
Yeah.
do Reiki.
Yeah. So, but like I know,
might be a little
I know some
different
people
talk.
that
I
are
don't do
Reiki
symbols.
certified, and there's like the symbols
Yeah, I
don't
and
do
like
symbols.
or they source from like a specific individual,
Uh,
like a lineage.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, you're
dang.
Like a specific lineage,
Yeah.
and it's like I have been trained more in the practice of I am a conduit
good. Yeah.
for source.
Same.
So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
okay.
the intuition, the motivation, the underlying everything is about what is meant for this person, and my job
Cut
is to
yourself out,
hold it,
and then- yeah.
move it, and help,
Yeah.
and but also work directly with the individual themselves, because they have to consent, and they have to be in a receiving mode.
Yeah.
So it's very interactive at times, but like there have been times like in this energetic work that I've pulled something off of someone that has then tried to jump onto me and been like
Ooh, yeah.
literally like, yes, capable of doing the work, very powerful, that's great, was not prepared.
Yeah.
And then having to like sit back, go sit with my mentor
Recognize.
and be like, can we review what just occurred? And when I say like it's humbling, because again, like I'm only 8 years into this. I would say that I'm a baby. Powerful,
soul is not, though.
have the skill set.
Yeah.
I have to say that right
but,
now.
like,
Your soul is not.
the soul's not a baby, but like learning.
yeah.
This like
You're getting
learning.
into it
It's
later,
like
yeah.
if I haven't had that experience before, that's new and it can shake a person up. And
Yeah.
if I had not had some of that foundational understanding, I might not have responded in a healthy way in that
It would
particular
have scared
situation.
them. Yeah. Would have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turned them off.
And so a lot of times when things like that happen, it makes me take a step back and it makes me go, okay, what other foundational work do I need before I move forward again? Now that I know I can tap into this,
Yeah.
where
How
do
do I
guys-
keep myself protected now?
Yeah.
Or understand what to do with that energy when it leaves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there's a, you've heard me speak about this before in other conversations, but like integrity is like a really big thing for me. Integrity, protection, foundation. That is so part of like my value set within this work. Because there's such, we have such an ability to potentially cause harm. Not
Yeah.
only to ourselves, but also to the people that we're meant to help.
Preach.
And
Fucking preach.
For
there's
real.
something within me that feels very, very strongly about not causing harm.
Oh yeah. It's
So
and that was one thing that I think was very like I'm very if we're going through a coaching session and I feel like it's going nowhere, I will tell you we're done. Like we're gonna pause. Stop paying me. We're not gonna do this anymore. Like there's some things that we need to process that's not working. And if we were continuing to go, you wouldn't get any of it. And like I think that's the responsibility that you have as a healer is, I think, a very important thing, because when you do Reiki, when you do any sort of energy work, like just what I said like earlier, I was like, oh, the Kundalini breath work stuff, like you got to be careful with that, because you can open some gates that you're not prepared for.
Yes.
That they would be like losing their minds, like, oh, I don't know what's happening, like I'm getting this, like, well, Josh, what happened or whatever, and I'm like, I haven't had that happen, but like it's very
if they
intentional.
don't have like the foundation of basic breath work of like something's happening and they get anxiety, do they know how to center themselves with their breath in order to continue having that experience in a safer way for their physical body?
So especially people with high blood pressure. Oh, yeah, that's very scary.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's scary, but it's you really have to be cautious about it.
Well, so I mean, we've wandered a bit on this topic now,
okay.
but you were originally how did you get?
So that's why it's called swim with Sepsey.
Yeah,
we just
we're just
swim with
swimming
stuff.
around.
We just move.
But like even with the sound baths that I do now, so it's like I'm not certified, but I am. When I tell you the amount of
certified,
I go online, I have read, I have been like, who should like. Can pregnant people do this?
Yeah.
What people should not be doing gong therapy?
Yeah.
Like, did you know that like if you're pregnant, there are certain you shouldn't be going to a
induce
gong room.
birth.
You could literally mess up your fetus.
Yeah.
And I'll speak to other people who are certified who don't even know that.
Yeah.
And so again, it's like this isn't about us performing. This is about the experience.
The receiver.
It's about who's receiving this physical healing, spiritual healing, mental healing, whatever, but you have to be so careful.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get lost in not being careful. And there's no regulations on anything.
Nope.
So when I say like the integrity of it, having those moments and being like, I need to be really careful, going back to my mentor and being like, I experienced this, here's how I responded to it. Was this correct? Should I have done something differently? Did I not set the space correctly, or did I do too well? Like, where did we go here? And it's really nice to have mentors who have been doing the work for 50 plus years that you can sit with, and their whole passion and purpose is to cultivate you. So they're willing to sit there and be like, here's what you did do correctly. Where did you feel it? How did you get that intuition? Or like, what called you to do it this way? And then being like, okay, if this occurs again, yes to everything, but also be like, thank you for the information, because you want to be so careful again, you know. But so the way I got on this path was literally like I was seeking healing, and then somehow landed on a path of a healer.
Yeah,
I didn't ask for it, and I this is a huge part of who I am, and a huge part of my story is that, and I've even sat with Gypsy and have been like, I didn't fucking ask for this. And she's like, yeah, but it's yours, and you're going to have to learn to accept it.
Yep.
Because if you reject it, it's just going to cause problems.
Yep. Like lot of problems. Like,
well, and it's probably why a lot of like some of the issues I had in my childhood and in my 20s was because of this massive rejection of spirituality.
100%.
When I was naturally taking in all of this information and didn't know how to express it and wasn't acknowledging it, I caused so many problems for myself. And once I started leaning in and learning more and getting trained,
but you had to go through that.
I had to. It's a huge, but again, it's part of the story.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I love, because like they could say like the broken healer is like, it's not really, you're not really broken in a sense, but like your past creates this, and I was broken. Okay, I love using the Chinese, the way the Chinese mend broken pieces.
Oh, with the
because
gold.
Literally that's what you're doing, and it's strengthening it and allowing the energy to flow even stronger than it would have been if you just were born with everything.
Yes,
you know,
a lot of that. I would definitely say that like a lot of the ability that I have to help people now with just the natural insight and understanding and helping people feel comfortable in their struggle is because I felt it. So like I have experienced all of that. Yeah. So like I know very directly, like at whatever I know, If I don't know it,
I'm
I
gonna look
tell
it
you
up.
that I don't know
Yes,
it.
yeah.
If it's something that's outside of my scope, I'll defer you to someone else. That's huge. But I experienced so much of that pain and that darkness and the confusion and the betrayals and the hurts and the abuse and the trauma and like all of this stuff. I wouldn't be able to understand how hard it is if I didn't go through it. Even with like meditation, I have such a heart for people who are at the beginning of their journey. So like
same.
beginner's meditation, the foundational stuff is my shit.
Yeah.
I love like beginner's meditation, beginner's breath work, sound baths, helping people just learn to drop into their bodies.
Yeah.
When I started, the furthest distance in the world was between me and the ground. For me to take 60 seconds to just sit for myself was a massive battle for months. That was a battle to take time for me to just sit and do nothing. That was insane. I literally started with 60 seconds.
That was hard, huh? Damn near impossible.
So difficult to just pause.
Oof.
So like when I sit there, people are like, oh, this, like, I'm not doing meditation right. And I'm like, no. There is no right way of doing meditation. Like, I just got to get you on the ground.
Yeah.
That's it. I just got to get you on the ground. And then once you're on the ground,
Pretty much.
we're just going to breathe.
That's it.
And there's no right, there's no wrong. It's like, I was speaking, I did goat yoga recently.
I saw that.
I got signed up to do sound baths at goat yoga. But it was what was really cool is like, even though that's such like a casual environment for like meditation and sound baths, this woman comes up to me afterwards and she's like, yeah, I just got into this. And she's like, I'm not really that good at meditation. And we're like literally petting a goat. we're petting a goat. And she's like, yeah, I'm just not that good at meditation. And I'm petting this goat and I'm like, there is no being good or bad at meditation. I'm like, meditation grows with you and you grow with your meditation. There is no right or wrong. It evolves.
Yeah.
And like, just keep doing it. And
Don't
the
stop.
way that she just she stopped and like her shoulders dropped and she was just like, I like that. And I'm like, that's literally just what it is.
Literally it.
That's just all it is. And I have such a heart for it because I went through it and it sucked.
Yeah.
You know?
The willingness, I want to point out this here because this is something that we've talked about quite often and I preach to a T, is the willingness to want to make a difference in your life and how that started to shift. Because if you didn't have that, like the energy that you put off when you were like, you know, I really wanted to, like, you could feel that you were willing to kind of embrace whatever someone would give you to like, this will work. This is working. Wait, okay, this is great.
Yeah.
You know, this, and you're experiencing this, like that's how you make lasting change in life.
Yes.
Is just understanding I have the willingness and I'm going to try pretty much almost everything that comes my way to like, okay. And then once I find it, you started just honing in on it and then it exploded. So I wanted to kind of highlight that.
When all of this started, it was me feeling so unwell. And the panic attacks and the anxiety attacks and the depression and the ruminating thoughts and the spinning thoughts and the voice in my head. I think I was like 31. I knew that I wouldn't make it to 40
Wait
if
a
I
second.
didn't fix this.
Do you mind me asking, how old are you now?
Oh, I'm 39.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh, yeah. I look really young. Surprise. Yeah. I like to joke. I like to joke that God and I had an agreement that I would take on as much trauma as possible as long as I got to look good doing it. And it was a joke, but I might be right. I look like I'm 27. I don't know, guys.
I was like, maybe she's around, I'm 29. I was like, maybe she's around my age.
No.
10 years older.
Sorry,
Damn.
surprise. Really old.
Gotcha.
It was a trick all along. Well, and that's the other thing too, is like I started later. A lot of people in the community started in their 20s.
Yeah, I started meditating when I was 15.
Yeah. Like I know so many people that got into this in high school, and I was like, high school, Jesus, like
Yeah.
I didn't even know this shit existed. I mean, I guess I did, but you know,
It was definitely
my
like
pastor
I didn't
grandparents were
understand.
like, the hippies are the devil, and saying Om is calling on Satan. Like that was what I grew up in.
Yeah, I isolated like my like meditation journey like at 15. I remember reading about it, and I was really big into psychology too. Like the psychology course in high school was really good, and our teacher was really good. And I was like, I'm gonna just see what this is about, because I had able to have internet. I had like an iPod Touch when I was around 15, so I was able to like Google some stuff.
I did not.
Yeah, I was gonna say, obviously. You
Because
know
I'm
any
old.
of that. You ain't old. You just called yourself a baby earlier.
Technology in just 10 years, like
Yeah, it blew
crazy.
up. Yeah.
Anyways,
So I was like, when I started learning about that, and I remember stumbling upon like, this was when, like early when websites weren't that really built out, and like just like this random page of like going into like chakras and all this stuff, and I was like, I don't know what any of this is, and I was like, so like I like read about it, but I was like, I don't even get it. I was like, I read about meditation. I was like, okay, you just kind of sit there, breathe, and see what happens. But yeah, I found a spot that was like in the like it was a forest preserve that was like kind of far off away from town. I grew up in like a small farm town, and so anytime that I felt like I need to get out of here, I need like stress, anxiety, just heavy tension, needed to find my own thoughts, as like everything was going on in my life. Parents were getting divorced, I'm going through surgery, I'm going through like Accutane, which is making me suicidal, like all this shit. Girlfriend at the time had like broke up to me. Well, like we were like perfect, like we're dating for like over a year or two, and I was like just like this, everything just crumbled at one point, and I was like, I need to figure this out. So I found a spot to meditate on a rock between a tree that was alive but had like a metal piece in it and like grew around it, and then a tree that was dead, and they were just like, it was, I don't know why I was called to this spot, and I would go there all the time and just sit there, and I would meditate, and then I would scream like, what do you want from me? Because I was like speaking to God, like, what do you want from me? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, just mad, just pissed off. Like, no one's, I don't know what's going on. Like, family, this doesn't make sense. Like, what did I do to deserve this? Yeah, I was like, what did I do to deserve this? Like, and so that went on, and then, you know, my whole story, like, that whole part happened and then like sent me to the hospital. But like, so the willingness though to try and understand and like sitting with yourself is a very, very hard thing to do when you first get started. Because you just, it's like I sit here, and then once you get past what I've found personally is once you get past your brain going through the mundane tasks that you have to do throughout your day or tomorrow, or what you didn't do, and once you get past that in your meditation, then you go and you find how you really feel about yourself. Mm-hmm. And then you go into, am I even good at this? I don't know. I'm not really good at anything, or maybe I'm good at it. And you start, so like at first it was like really negative. You get this really deep negative self-talk, and I was like, damn, I really don't like myself that much.
So I think part of the reason why it worked out really well for me, because yes, the voice in my head
100%.
was very loud, and she's a bitch.
Yeah,
she's not a nice person.
Externally, very sweet.
But like, I think part of what got me through that was the fact that like I was training with someone who was all about the science.
I think that's cool.
So this like foundational understanding of like, I'm going to be experiencing these things, but what I'm really doing is affecting my neurological pathways.
Yeah.
And what I'm actually training myself to do is to separate myself from my thought. Mm-hmm. What is the awareness? Mm-hmm. What is the thought? The thought can be separated and set aside. Mm-hmm. And then I can come back to it later.
Yeah.
And like this gentle understanding of like, I'm working my brain like a muscle, breathing and keeping count, and following my air and becoming really, really aware of the feeling of my breath over my lips. Like, have you ever done that? The first time I did that, it was insane.
Yeah.
It was the weirdest sensation that I had never noticed in my entire life. And just feeling it, like, going through my body, the expansion of my belly and, like, my rib cage was so cool. But I understood, like, what the purpose was. And it was, like, all scientific. And I'm like, I'm fixing my brain. Like, we're going to fix my brain. It was all science. And it worked. But because of that, it allowed me to get to that point where I kept practicing. And then the spirituality found me.
Oh, yeah.
I did not find the spirituality. It found me. It showed up. I had experiences that I couldn't deny I was having. And then everything kind of happened from there.
Yeah,
so,
that
but it's
light,
like, but that willingness of just like, I needed it to work.
Mm-hmm.
It had to work. Nothing else was working. Someone said that this would work. I did it. I kept going. I kept practicing. I kept trying. I kept doing it. And then it just became like, it got to the point where I couldn't even imagine leaving my house without doing 5 minutes of sitting before doing it.
Oh,
where it's like,
nice.
I was like, oh, I have plans tonight. I'm going to sit for 30 minutes before going out so that I could set intentions. Like, what I remember is like, well, what's your intention? And I'm like, what the fuck is an intention? Like, when I say like that raw newbie stance of just like, I didn't know what these words meant. I didn't understand living with intention, with purpose. I thought it was just like goal setting.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
for real.
I think I've really only discovered that probably in the last 6 years of what and how to really set intention. Like it's the same thing. I was like, intention. What do you mean intention?
What do you mean?
I have plans.
I have plans. I have a goal.
I have plans that I want to do.
But it, like, even something as simple as like, oh, like, okay, I'm gonna go meet up with my friends, but my intention is to connect.
Yeah.
I miss this person. I'm hoping to bond with them.
Yeah.
Actually, like, bringing that awareness to it is so beautiful, and like the other aspects and layers of like a beautiful life just kind of came with this practice, because I was able to see things so much more clearly outside of the ego and the chaos and the clutter that was in my mind.
Would you say that obviously, you kind of spoke on it, but would you say that that's like a big way that you're witnessing now your reality shifting by the way that you look at things and your beliefs?
Absolutely. I mean, a lot has changed over the years, like my understanding of purpose and where we come from and what it means to be a human being and the experience of being a human being.
Oh, I'd love to go on out with that with you sometime.
There's such, I think the best way I could say it is that I approach everything with so much more like compassion and gentleness in the human experience. So even something that we haven't touched on is like grief. And I have suffered from a lot of grief, a lot of complicated grief. And the relationship I have with my emotions now is beautiful. Even when it hurts. There's an understanding that I have about what I'm experiencing. And so it changes a lot of how I navigate things. If I'm with someone who is hurting me, I can understand where that hurt is. I understand the purpose that we're trying to get to, what the goal is. And then it's like, so how do we navigate this in such a way that there's understanding and repair?
Yes.
The purpose is not to be right. It's to be, we want to be seen. We want to be heard. We want to be understood. And we want connection. Not just to ourselves, but to others as well. And the same thing, like connection with ourselves. Everything always comes back to that. It's, if things start to seem a little chaotic, I have to stop and take that pause and really reflect on what's going on in my life. And if I've lost connection with my intuition, if I'm not setting boundaries, am I not showing up in a way that someone who loves themselves would show up? If I love
love
myself,
that question.
if I love myself, if I was a person who loved myself, would I do this to myself?
I
Like-
call those life anchors. Yeah.
A little part of that was because I come from abuse, so I ended up with a lot of people pleasing tendencies. So I'm a people pleaser in recovery, and I had a really good friend of mine. Her name is Bridge. We love Bridge.
Shout out Bridge.
Shout out to Bridge. To this day, I still struggle with putting myself down. I'm a lot better at it now I'm not better at putting myself down. I'm better at not putting myself down. Let's clarify that. But I ended up with this beautiful, beautiful relationship, friendship, deep like sisterhood with this woman, Bridge. And I remember she would hear me like put myself down. And one day I was talking about myself, and she just looked over at me, put herself square in front of me, grabbing me by my shoulders, looked me dead in the eyes, and she was like, "Stop talking badly about my friend. Don't be mean to my friend." And it shook me to my fucking core.
That's fucking beautiful. Shout out Bridge.
Shout out to Bridge.
Damn.
But that was a moment of me having to reflect and be like, it's so easy for me to be mean to myself, but I would never be mean to my friend's friend because I love my friend. I would never hurt one of her friends. So if I'm her friend and I love her, I can't be mean to her friend. I had to literally reposition the narrative so that it wasn't, I'm being nice to myself. It's, I'm going to treat my friend's friend well. That's how deeply rooted this shit is in my brain.
Well, it's a good bypass.
It's a good bypass, and it's super, super healthy, but it also got me to like reflect on it. So like when I say like I can sit with people and be like, no, take me into your darkness, like let's go.
Yeah.
I understand the struggle, and there are so many ways around so that we can treat ourselves with love and care and understanding and gentleness and compassion and empathy. And when you start doing it for yourself, it spills over so that you're able to do it for others.
Yeah.
And then even as a healer, the ability to recognize the pain or the hurt or the struggle or just this energetic field that's around another person and not coming from ego, having this like understanding of what is occurring and being able to come in to help ease it. Maybe not cure it, but at least ease it.
Let them like experience themselves comfortably for a moment.
Just a moment of relief so that they know that relief is available to them.
Yeah.
But
some people think that's like unattainable.
I thought that it was unattainable.
Yeah.
If you had told me 10 years ago that I could physically feel the way that I feel today, I wouldn't have believed you.
Damn.
Like it's that my brain could be as chill as it is, that I could have this much clarity. Like I thought I was doing great at 30. I thought I had it. I was a mess. I was such a mess. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's all in contrast.
It's all in contrast, but it's like to be able to understand that there is hope and that there's ways to that and that every person's journey is their own. So everyone's way of going about it is going to be different, but the goal is to like maybe not be so mean to ourselves.
Yeah, let's start there.
To like love ourselves a little bit, to be able to
like when you do that,
think about breathing.
Like,
it's literally what keeps us alive, and none of us were ever taught how to breathe
properly.
Correctly.
Yeah. And you get stuck so much chest breathing.
And like I was a swimmer. I was a runner.
They didn't teach you to breathe from your belly? Or like how to...
They were just like, breathe deep. Good luck.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's like getting back into that. I feel like breathing has been chasing me my whole life.
I love breath work. I remember I did a breath work. I did a breath work that actually got... I channeled it down. It's an interesting breath work system. So you start with like 10 just full like 3-part breaths, and you exhale. And then there's
when you say 3-part breath, what do you mean?
From filling the deep belly to the middle chest, all the way up to like your shoulder area, kind of what we did in the beginning of our meditation. And then releasing from top of the shoulders, down to the chest, down back to the belly. And it's been a while since I've done this one. But you do 10 of those, and then I believe it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. So it's 5. What were the 5 breaths? I'm gonna have to bring this back up. It was 5.
Do you want to Google it or something?
I might have it on a Google Drive actually.
Yeah. I'm like, you probably have this written down.
I do.
I'm sure of it.
Because I did it at a workshop with Shun.
Good old Shun.
And I'm hoping that it's in this one here.
So this is actually like a great example. So like you say 3-part breath, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you just described is what I walk people through.
Yeah.
But
It's
I didn't
so
know
simple.
there was a word for it.
Yeah, it's like a yogic 3-part breath. I learned that when I did yoga teacher training.
I just go through being like, is your breath in your
Yeah.
chest? Okay, move your hands to your ribs. Tap right there. Get your breath to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Go a little bit lower. Let's tap right there. Can you feel the breath hit it? Now can you get to your belly?
Yeah.
I call it the breath of life.
I do it such a baby words. I'm like, here we go.
So,
But it works.
Yeah.
here
Oh,
it
you
is.
do have it on Google Drive.
Breath of life. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm very organized in the way. So everything tailors to life. Live your full expression. So the breath of life. I think I spelled breath wrong. I think it's no, I did. 10 full body inhales, exhales done slowly. So it's from the belly. And I actually adjusted it to where you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So 5 curled tongue prana inhales with focus on the third eye. Exhale through the nose slowly. 4 deep inhales, holding for about 15 to 20 seconds, or as much as you can hold, and then a slow exhale. 3 inhales through the nose, slowly exhaling through pursed lips. It's almost like the Ujjayi breath, if you're familiar with that one, where you're kind of like, it almost sounds like you're snoring. I have to pull up a video. I'm not really good at explaining that one. I have a client, and I was like trying to explain it to him. He's like, it's difficult. I was like, that's okay. Don't worry about it. I know I'm not good at explaining it. I was just straight up with him. 2 deep open mouth inhales, slowly exhaling through the nose. So we kind of switch it up, and then 1 lion's breath, and then repeat. And so I remember doing this one, and I have like a visualization that goes with it, because I was doing a whole guided meditation, different mudras and stuff like that. But I did this one at Saguaro Lake, and I was standing in the water, and I guess it was, water amplifies everything. So if you don't know, talk to your water as much as you can. So I was standing in there, and I remember people were like, before I started, people were like bringing kayaks and about to go out on a lake and stuff like that. And so I started this, and just like you said, the pressure, I felt like the pressure in my ears go, and then sound just disappeared, and I could hear no one. I was in this just bodily zone of just breathing and moving and breathing and moving, and it revitalized me. When I came back, I was like looking around. There were so many people. I was like, where did you guys come from?
Did you lose time?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gone. I was like, what is...
How long have I been standing
I
here?
was like, and I'm sitting here like just like standing in the water. So
It's been 3 hours. Like, people are walking by me like, is he okay?
He hasn't moved. He's standing though, like he can't be.
He's breathing. We can tell he's breathing. No, and those are like just really incredible, like connective moments where like, you're in your body but you're not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I absolutely love those. There's a her name is Aubrey, and she does this beautiful breath work, like guided breath work with sound. And she works up at Savannah. Are you familiar with Savannah? It's like a retreat space up in Cave Creek. And I did one of hers, and it was the same. Like literally, I felt like everything leave. Like my toes went first, then my legs, then my torso, then my arms, and then to where all I could feel was the wind going in and out of my lips, and then just poof,
Yeah.
gone. And I was like, what is this?
So this takes me to something that's also that I find interesting, and I don't know if we want to go into it or not, but like I didn't use psychedelics in my meditation until about like 9 months in, when I decided to try it once. Had a great, very cool experience.
What did you use?
I think it was just
mushrooms or?
Yeah, just mushrooms.
Okay.
I'm a huge advocate for mushrooms. I'm careful about it.
We did a whole episode on it.
Yeah. But I know now in retrospect that what I was experiencing was awareness of chakras and like what was blocked and what was not.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, all I knew is that I felt all this pressure around my throat and my lower jaw. Like I was sitting there in meditation, like physically holding the bottom of my face and my neck because of the pressure that was being held there. I also sat in that meditation for like an hour and a half, when the longest I had ever sat was 30 minutes.
That's a long time.
Mm-hmm. And there was like some interesting like visual lights and things that occurred. I remember experiencing that and being like, okay, continued practicing for another 3 months with the intention of having that experience again without a substance.
Yeah.
3 months.
Did you get there?
Yes.
Whoa.
The fact that it's even possible to get there. So even like the use of psychedelics within meditation or healing work.
Sure.
I even approached that with like, this is allowing us a window.
Yeah.
A window to see what is possible, but all of it's already inside of us.
Yeah.
So it's like that use of being like, oh, now that I see that I can experience this on mushrooms, now that I know that it exists,
breaks that subconscious barrier of this
I can get there sober. But because it exists. If it exists when I'm on psychedelics, it has to exist when I'm sober.
Yeah. Right.
It has to.
Right.
And so it allowed me like this window and this, again, a different narrative to utilize to get to certain places in that work.
Love that.
Yeah, it's cool stuff.
I remember, mushrooms is my favorite thing.
Huge advocate for it.
Did a guided, you tossed me some too. We had some good ones. There was a guided meditation with mushroom ceremony that I did with some friends a couple of years ago. And we took cacao, then we did some mushrooms, and then they had like singing bowls, and they had like this whole like song thing that they had like tailored to this, right? And so I remember getting the eye mask on and laying in my little bed, and then I remember going through just like surfaces of like breaking through just different parts of like who I believed I was. Okay, gone. Then continuing asking like, who am I? And then going deeper and deeper and deeper to the point where I would just felt immediately like I was absolutely nothing but atoms and just connected. And I felt literally connected to everyone in the room. And then I was like, let's expand further. And I went further. And then I went to like this, like, felt like this like floating universal cosmos. And I'm over here like this, and I'm breathing, I'm breathing, and I'm like going through all this. And then like my body would want to tense up and like hide away from it. And so I go into a fetal position, and then I would realize, no, let go. And then I would open back up and I would shoot even farther. And it was intense. That was a couple hours. But like,
was that just like a physical experience for you, or like mentally? Okay.
I felt like I experienced death at least 5 times, maybe a little more, to where like it was a crumbling of just letting go of this physical reality and experiencing like quote unquote death, and then like feeling a rebirth like multiple times.
Okay.
So the way that I looked at myself, the way that I look at people, the way that I look at like objects and just things now have totally changed. So my beliefs, and like I had to process this. One thing I will say too, when you're doing this, if you're not really connected with self, you need someone there to help integrate and process what you went through. even if you are, I would say find someone to talk about it with. But it took me over 1.5 years to finally understand how I can talk about this.
I've had experiences like that as well.
Integrate with myself.
Yeah. A lot of those experiences, it'll take me days or weeks to actually find human words to express something that was on a
different. Yeah.
Like, and I always say, I'm like, whatever I'm expressing right now is probably the watered down version because of the limitations of English.
Oh, I believe
like,
I'm still,
Like, you probably, what you just described is probably like, it's like that times 10.
Yeah.
For what your actual experience was.
There's no way that, and it's like, I could just tell you, like, try it. But, like, you're probably going to get a whole different experience because you're on a whole different journey.
Yeah.
And I respect that and love that. And I think that's why I love this, because and I want to thank you, one, for
thank
coming on, two, for just being like you. I think that's one big thing that there's an authenticity.
I didn't get a choice.
I had no other choice. I had no other life.
I didn't ask for this. No. Sorry.
Those are the best feelings.
I have a hard time getting compliments. It's fine. Like, you're being like really nice.
Shoot them at you. That's what I love too, and like I think I've talked about this too. Is those that come into a situation where you have the ability to shift someone's life, help their soul grow, help them understand themselves. Like a lot of the times, none of those people who are genuinely wanting to do that or desiring to help you do that wanted to do that in the first place. They were brought into it. They experienced what it was like. They had an understanding. Like, I didn't ask to be able to, do that. I was curious about it for most of my life, but it wasn't like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
This is, that's who I want to be. It was like, oh, I have the ability to do this. Well, all right, then I guess I'll fall in line. Yeah, I guess I'll continue.
I'll definitely say like the sound is like the cherry on top for me, because that was something that sort of, I guess I got naturally drawn to and then I just happened to be good at it. The flute that I play, you've seen the videos.
Yeah,
with
you're
the
really
flute.
good at that.
Yeah.
How long have you been playing the flute for? She's like 3 months.
So that's like a wooden Native American flute,
I
right?
have a smaller version of that.
I found that at Bookman's.
Really?
I found that flute at a thrift store.
What?
For $30.
How?
That flute is worth.
That's like hand carved, isn't it?
It is
a nice flute.
It is signed on the back. It's a perfect tune. It is well made. I found it at a thrift store. So again, my story before about like I enter thrift stores and things, I just get pulled. I found it and immediately was like, I need this. I've never played one before. I did grow up playing the
metal flute?
Like the metal flute, like the orchestra flute.
Oh, okay.
I played one of those, so I had like a basic background, but that's like a totally different.
Yeah.
It is not the same.
It's not the same.
It is not the same. But I did have like some background in like music. But let me just clarify as well. I sucked at band. I was last chair my entire life. Like, you can look this up. Last chair, right here, constantly. I was not good. And I just, I picked it up and I started playing, and it was natural. It felt good. I knew what to do, and the breathing and the sound, and it feels very natural in my hands. The sound bowls, I started with Tibetan bowls. Again, found them at thrift stores.
Wow.
Worked with them. The crystal bowls I was gifted, I got the black ones specifically for shadow work, because that is the work. That's my medicine, is the deep shadow work. That's the shit. So I have the black set of crystal bowls. Which I always, it's funny too, because I always feel like at some point in my past life, like I must have been some sort of like medicine woman witchery whatever, because when I'm sitting there playing these bowls, I feel like I'm over a goddamn cauldron. Like there is something going,
stirring up frequencies.
the way that it feels so natural, and I drop in, like I'm sitting there facilitating a sound bath, but I am getting gifted that sound as well. Like it is everyone's getting healed tonight.
Oh
kind
yeah,
of thing. We're in it.
Yeah, I love that.
But I feel like because of all of the other foundational work, because of the energy work, because of the intuition, because of all the training that I have had and the work that I have done, when I'm sitting there playing, it's like all of that is being sent out.
Yeah.
In a way. Like it's not just the sound, there's a part of me that is or my intention.
You're the energy that's building, that's creating the sound.
Yeah.
So it's definitely ingrained in it.
Yeah.
And moving out like
and
that.
it feels like it.
Yeah.
Like I'll
just waves and waves of beautiful healing energy.
some of the classes that we do with like the floating sound baths, which
those are super cool.
yeah, those are through Desert Paddleboards. You can go to desertpaddleboards.com. I do not own that company. That is Sarah Williams, who is amazing. She finds great facilitators in order to facilitate these experiences. Completely blessed to have been brought into that. Greg Dwyer of Circle Patterns got brought into that and then looped me in because he knew what I could do. And then we teamed up and we've started doing this. But we'll do like two 2-hour-long sound baths back to back. So we're just like getting
Jesus.
we pack up, we're like, let's go get nourishment. Like you need nourishment. The way that I am so physically hungry afterwards is, I think that's like an energetic thing for sure. Like my body's like, please nourish me after doing all of this.
Yeah.
But like we'll walk into a restaurant and they'll, like the server will come up and just be like, so where did you guys come from? You seem like really zenned out, and we have no idea that that's not we're coming off. But we're just like our whole body, because we just got hit with these sound vibrations for 2 straight hours. Like, we're walking through like downtown Gilbert and everything's like partying. We're like, contrast! It's like, energy, what is this? Like, what's going on over there? And we just want like a salad, please. And they're like, are you okay? Zenned out. Like, not even realizing it. But it's just, it is a beautiful experience. Like how, with all the intense work, I feel personally blessed that I also got to go into the sound bath aspect as well. For me, that does feel like a special little treat where it's like, sorry to put you through all of this shit, but here you can do sound bowls too. Like the universe is like, just to help you out a little bit. Just here's a little gift from us.
Yeah. Cool this off.
Do you like the flute? Like, there you go.
We just explored your traumas.
Yeah.
Let's just call it with sound.
Like, here's some sound. The cool thing is, actually, I'm hoping today, I believe I will be purchasing my drum, my hand drum. This is the fun part. Also, how did I get into this? Ties back to Gypsy, to my mentor, who had a vision of me. Like, so when I picked up the flute and told her I got the flute, she immediately was just like, She knows. And I was like, you know something, but you're not telling me, okay? So we just accepted that. But she had a vision of me playing the drums, of playing the hand drum around a fire in a teepee, surrounded by shamans and leaders. Like, this was a vision that she had. Not saying that that's going to physically happen, but it was like an energetic thing.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was having a lot of dreams where I was in a teepee around a fire, surrounded by what I could tell were leaders or shamans or ancients with power.
Yeah.
And I was bringing ideas to them to see if I could get approval. And then I would actually come back to chase. Like I would wake up with concepts and ideas that I did not go to sleep with, and I was getting them within that dream tent, and then going to my mentor and being like, I need to talk to you about something. So this was all happening around at the same time, and then she had a dream of me in a tent around a fire playing a drum, and she was like, you need a drum. She's like, I see it, you need to find a drum, it's gonna happen. I've been looking for that drum for 3 years.
Wow.
3 years, and that was before I ever started like a sound journey. And now it's like the sound journey has happened.
And you're just like, I need a drum now.
Yeah.
And now is the time, like now the drum is coming. So I'm pretty sure there's a Dinesh store that is in North Phoenix that I'm visiting today that I believe has what I'm looking for. I called them earlier, and I think I'm gonna go get it. So we're just gonna get our hands on it, do a little things. Yeah. So that's the whole story of more or less of how we got here.
I love that. I appreciate you sharing.
It was a lot. We went all over the place.
Oh yeah, well, that's the whole purpose, and that's why I love it, because you get to experience. I mean, the life journey from people that have. Wait, everyone's got a message. I firmly believe that everyone's got something to say. So, having you on, I think it's going to be a beautiful thing for those to hear. I think it's going to just allow others to see that one small thing and the willingness can change the outcome of your entire life and shift it. So I'm going to end here. Oh, where can they find you?
So currently I don't even have like a website. You can find me on Instagram. Yeah, that's probably the best way. So my Instagram is Seraphim Mix, which is SERAPHIM, and then the word mix. And then also through Higher Self Friendly, where I'm a moderator, and panelist, and helper, supporter. And then I'm also the event manager over at Lacuna in downtown Phoenix.
Shout out to Lacuna.
So we do a lot of Higher Self Friendly's events are there. I host some of my sound baths there. If you're into healthy places with like-minded people and no alcohol, this is a really wonderful space for that. That's how I found Higher Self Friendly in the first place. So,
Nice.
there's all the places that you'll find me. I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere.
Oh gosh. All right.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, good. Well, we're gonna do it again because there were some things that you said that I was like, I want to go into an hour on that.
I would definitely say that's the difficult part. I'm like, this is gonna go all over the place because I'm like I could go into so many directions, and each of those topics themselves would be a 1 to 2 hour conversation with me.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, how do I answer any question?
That's why we've broken it up into like different topics.
Like
we could go into an hour just about emotions. We can go into an hour just like, so we're already at hour 20.
Oh yeah, that figures.
Much love.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you guys for following, subscribing, hanging out. Love you. Peace.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Swimming with Sepsey. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and follow us on our YouTube channel, or listen on all platforms or wherever you get your podcasts. Any support is greatly appreciated. You can find us on our Patreon page at patreon.com/swimmingwithsepsey. You can also follow us on Instagram at swimmingwithsepsey. And if something did arise today, maybe you need some clarification or want some help or just need some guidance and don't know where to go, feel free to reach out to me via email, swimmingwithsepsey@gmail.com, or you can find my website at soullyliving.com, where I offer coaching packages, readings, and things of that nature. Again, thank you for tuning in. Very grateful. Namaste. And we'll find you on the next episode of Swimming with Sepsey.